What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Cigars and Whiskey for our next review. As you can see, we're doing a little bit filming, just a little bit different than normal. I am filming at night. For those who don't know, I live in Arizona, and right now during the day it's about 115, 118 has been the last couple days, so a little way too warm for me to be outside. So right now we're outside. It's still about 100, but it's a lot better than it was during the day. So enough of that said. That explains why I have the why it's dark. Alright, we'll be reviewing a new cigar that just entered the market not that long ago, and you might have seen it, you might have already tried it, and if you have, great. If you haven't, you may want to look for it. If you're a fan of AJ Fernandez or any of the San Lotano cigar lines, he does have a new one. This is the San Lotano Dominicano, and this is the Gordo size, which is a 6 1/4 by 60. I know that they have a Robusto size. Just give me a second, which is a 5 by 50, and then they also have a Torpedo, a 6 by 50, and then they actually have a Torpedo box pressed, which is a 6 1/2 by 52. Now the Gordo runs about $10 a stick, so I got this one just so I can say I tried it, and we'll see how it goes. But with that said, we'll be back with the pre-draw. Alright, everybody, back with the first pre-draw of the cigar. Also some more information about the cigar. Like I said, bear with me, the lighting might be off. I've not done this a lot, so I want to make sure you can see everything, but I don't want to make sure it's so shadowy or so bright that it's hard to watch. The wrapper on this cigar is a Brazilian wrapper. Now, it is a Cuban seed Brazilian wrapper, which that means, for those who don't know, it's seed from Cuba, but it was grown in Brazil, so it does change its dimensions. A lot of people ask that question to me on comments. It's just like wine, folks, or different types of whiskey that you make, depending on what regions in the world you're in and what the soil's doing and what different things that are contributing to the tobacco's profile. That's what's going to be different. Now, it's still a great tobacco, it's just it might be a different profile on the palate than, say, something from Cuba or something from the Dominican or something from Nicaragua. Now, the binder is tobaccos from the Dominican, and then the filler is Dominican and Nicaraguan. So we've got Nicaraguan, Dominican, and Brazilian. So a little bit of a different mix for those who've never had something like that. But a lot of times, if you look at the cigars you're smoking, you're going to notice they do have a lot of different mixes. People just don't pay attention to them because, you know, not everybody's into being a cigar geek like myself that want to know everything about the cigar. Now, if you want a box of these cigars, between 160 and 200, just depending on, like I said, depending on the box size, or I mean the ring gauge size, and then, you know, what you're looking for. But as you can see, it is a really chocolatey wrapper. Now, that Brazilian wrapper is not too dark on this one. This might be a Maduro in some areas. I wouldn't consider it that much of a dark Maduro, more of a dark chocolate. But man, getting a little earth, getting a little bit of a sweet hay profile. I can sense just a tad of leather on that foot, but let's go ahead and cut it up. What I'm going to do with something this big, being a 60 ring gauge, I am going to use a straight cutter. There are different cutters for those who aren't aware. There are different cutters out there. Different people want different things. I just predominantly go with straight cuts on the bigger gauges because it just seems to give them a better draw. Some guys will argue and say the punching a hole in the top or just taking the cap off is their preference. But again, folks, it's whatever you want and however you like smoking your cigar. It has nothing to do with there's a certain type of cigar with a certain type of cut. It's whatever you want. The only cigar that wouldn't take a certain cut would be the Torpedo, where they torpedo up into a point. Those, most of the time, you just cut them straight off. You wouldn't punch them. And you wouldn't just, I mean, I don't know. Some people smoke them the way they want to. As I said, let's go ahead and just take the top off here. Now, the best rule of thumb, if you've never used one of these cutters or you've never cut a cigar this size and people are always worried about cutting too low, you can take this and set it down on top of your counter or whatever you're working on, your top of your humidor. Slide it open, leave it flat, put your cigar in, and then as you cut, it will take off just the amount of tobacco, just the width of your cutter, which is just enough. Some guys, when they go to cut, they'll go and then you'll see they'll carry a whole bunch behind it and then they'll cut it off. You do that and you're going to have it starting to unravel on you while you're smoking, and it totally screws up your thing. But if you smoke enough like I do, you can pretty much gauge it with your eye and just take off just enough. But with that said, that's just a tip. Always looking for tips, always looking for something new that you may not know, because I know there's a lot of people who are subscribing to my channel, and I appreciate it, everybody, that are fairly new to the whole cigar game. Now I get right immediately off of the palate. For me, it's a raisin profile, like a dried raisin. Immediate. Some might say dried fruit. Some might say close to an apricot. I'll go with raisin. And I can sense enough draw through the cigar. I am getting a little bit of a cedar profile. And that might be because I just pulled it out of a brand new box at the shop. They just opened the box. So, again, you may not get all these, but again, that's just my take. So we'll go ahead, and what I'll do is I'm gonna light this with a torch. A lot of folks will use lighters. They'll use they'll use matches. They'll use cedar spills, which are just pieces of cedar that are lit on fire, and you light them like a match. Whatever you want to do. Only thing I don't suggest that you do is use lighters that use butane, or they use like a Zippo. Not that Zippos won't light it, but Zippos seem to leave a little bit of an aftertaste on the foot that I notice. You might not notice it, and then it's more power to you. But I like to use a torch, and the one I have today is a quadruple. It's a 4-torch lighter, so we'll go ahead and just keep it way enough so I can start getting it toasted. When we think it's good enough, we'll go ahead and rotate a little bit. And it went out on its own, but that might be okay. And like I said, just enough to get it started, and we'll let it go. You don't want to do a lot of messing with the burn on the cigar. With that said, we'll keep going through it. I'll be back with our first third of the cigar, the San Lotano Dominicano. I'm getting earthiness, almost getting like a little bit of an acorn profile, like an acorn, like a squash. A little bit of bitter chocolate. And that's what I'm getting so far. Now, there is a side note for those who are interested, those who follow Cigars and Whiskey. I appreciate all the support you guys share. I do have a Facebook group called Cigars and Whiskey. It is a forum where you can join and you can post what cigars you're having every day. You can definitely do that if you want to join that. It's always open to the public. I do also have a video page on Facebook, not a video page, but a page about Cigars and Whiskey, about my blog or my YouTube channel and all the other stuff. So there's that. I have Twitter, I have Instagram, I have all that stuff. So if you're interested, hit the like, subscribe. It's all going to be below in the comments, all the links if you're interested. If not, that's your thing too, cool. But I do appreciate the fact of taking the time right now to watch this video, and we'll be back in just a bit with our second third of the San Lotano Dominicano. Alright everybody, welcome back to the second third of our review of the San Lotano Dominicano. Now, the question is going to come up. You're going to notice on the band that says AJ and Jochy. Now, Jochy is Jochy Blanco, AJ is AJ Fernandez, and for those who don't know who either one of those guys are, I'm sorry. No, that's right, I'll tell you. AJ Fernandez is a cigar blender, and so is Jochy Blanco. And they both have different cigar lines that they've worked on. AJ Fernandez, I know, is working with a lot of different things lately, so he is blended for a lot of different brands. You'll notice a lot of things by AJ or AJ Fernandez or whatever, but that's what that is. So this cigar was an idea for AJ and Jochy to get together and blend something. And in my opinion, nothing could be better than the San Lotano series that AJ Fernandez Cigars has. I'm a fan of the San Lotanos. I have been for a long time. There have been different variations that have came out that some people aren't happy about, but you know, that's fine. But I have to say, so far, just going through the first third of this cigar, I like the blend. I think the size 6x60 for this profile works, and that's just my opinion. You can notice, I'm going to show you now, you can see that it isn't burning razor sharp. Now that doesn't mean it's a bad cigar. I don't know how many times people have asked, this is, well, it burns crooked, it must be bad. Guys, it's a hand-rolled cigar. It's tobacco leaves that are bound together and they're rolled. There's going to be imperfections. It's not going to be a perfect burn. Now, there are people who will disagree with that statement, and if you do, I'm sorry. But sometimes they will correct themselves. Now, earlier, off camera, the burn was, I would say, would be here on the cigar, and the other side was just where it is now, and it has corrected itself. So a lot of times you just let the cigar go through its thing, it'll correct itself. But you can see I am getting a white ash on the cigar, and it is staying. It's not a real leafy ash. You're not having problems with it. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into the second third. And the second third, I'm starting to get a little more of a leather profile, a little less of the cedar. But again, the profiles are not, in my opinion so far, haven't missed. Now, I've read some other bloggers out there and other reviewers that say it changes once you get halfway through. We'll find out as this continues. But with that said, that's where we're at right now on the San Lotano Dominicano Gordo by AJ and Jochy. Alright everybody, we're getting to the final third of our cigar, about over halfway done. Did want to show you, as I said earlier, had a little bit of burn issues, and then I noticed the delicate wrapper started to separate and start coming off, and you can tell it's real delicate. So my suggestion is, if you smoke it, leave the band on as long as you can before you take it off, because more than likely when I take this band off, the rest of that real light wrapper will come right off, and then you're losing part of the profile of the cigar. But so far, man, we're almost through it all. I'd have to say that it is a very medium to full cigar. It might be a little heavy on some palates. Might at this point want to stop if you can't handle how strong it is, as far as not necessarily nicotine strength, but just the overall taste. It's getting real heavy. For me, I don't mind them. I like full strength cigars, so I'm going to keep going. But like I said, it might be something, I would definitely suggest smoking this after you've eaten for the day, as an evening cigar or first thing in the morning. But don't do it right before you eat, because it does leave a real heavy profile on the palate. But with that said, and I can surely say this is a really good cigar. I like the cigars. I like most of all the AJ cigars. I am more of a medium to a full strength profile. I love Maduros. I like the Oscuros, the real dark chocolate, the real dark wrappers. But all in all, I'd say definitely a good cigar. Something you should try, something you should go out and look for. And if you haven't tried any of the other AJs, there are some that you should try. You can look at some of my other reviews. I've done San Lotano other series. I have done the AJ New World, both the first edition and the second cigar that came out. But I am a fan of the very first one that AJ did with his father, that he brought out of retirement so they could blend it together. But all in all said, great cigar. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Thanks again for tuning in to Cigars and Whiskey. Have a great day, have a great smoke, and I will see you next time.